Admiral Kyung-ho stared at the blue planet spinning slowly on his ship's main screen. Earth looked peaceful from space. White clouds covered parts of the green and brown land masses. The ocean sparkled under the light of the yellow star. Another boring survey mission, he muttered to his crew. The Galactic Empire had sent his ship to check on this small planet in a distant corner of space. It was routine work that happened every 50 years. His science officer, Lieutenant Bonhua, looked up from her instruments. "Sir, the planet shows signs of primitive life. The beings down there have built cities and machines, but they cannot travel between stars yet." Kyung-ho nodded. This was normal. The galaxy was full of planets with life that had not learned to leave their home world. Most never would. "What category should we put them in?" "Category 7, sir. Pre-FTL species of no strategic value." Bonhua typed the classification into her computer. "They have split into many small groups that fight each other. Their technology is very basic. No useful resources that we cannot get easier elsewhere." The Admiral walked closer to the screen. He could see the lights of cities on the dark side of the planet. Millions of small beings lived down there, completely unaware that they were being watched. They had no idea that a vast empire stretched across the stars above them. "Any threats to imperial interests?" he asked. "None, sir. They cannot even detect our ship. Their most advanced sensors would see us as a small asteroid if they noticed us at all." Bonhua finished her report. "Recommend monitoring every 50 years. Low priority." Kyung-ho approved the report with a quick signature on his tablet. Another planet cataloged and dismissed. The Empire had more important things to worry about than primitive species who still fought with chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Far below on Earth, Dr. Hana Kim sat in her laboratory late at night. She was one of the planet's leading physicists, though she did not know how small that achievement was in the larger universe. Her computer screens showed strange energy readings that her instruments had detected from deep space. "This makes no sense," she whispered to herself. The energy patterns did not match anything in Earth's physics textbooks. They seemed to bend and twist in ways that should be impossible. Whatever was creating these signals had technology far beyond anything humans had ever imagined. Hana had been tracking these signals for months. They appeared at random times and always from different directions. Sometimes they lasted for hours. Other times they flashed for just a few seconds. But they were always there, like whispers from the stars. She picked up her phone and called her colleague, Dr. Young-sik Nam. "Young-sik, are you awake? I need you to look at something." "Hana, it's past midnight. Can this wait until morning?" "No, it cannot. I think we might not be alone." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Young-sik spoke carefully. "What do you mean?" "The energy readings I have been tracking, they are artificial. Made by machines, very advanced machines." Hana's voice shook with excitement and fear. "Someone is out there, and their technology is far beyond ours." Young-sik arrived at the lab within an hour. He studied Hana's data on the computer screens. His face grew pale as he understood what he was seeing. "If this is real," he said slowly, "then we need to tell the government immediately." "Who would believe us? And even if they did, what could we do? Look at these power readings. Whoever built these machines could destroy our entire planet without effort." The two scientists sat in silence, staring at the proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. Above them, Admiral Kyung-ho's ship prepared to leave Earth's solar system. The survey was complete. Earth was catalogued as unimportant. But space is vast and full of dangers. The Empire had many enemies. Pirates raided shipping lanes, rebel groups attacked military outposts, and some planets that seemed weak and primitive turned out to hide surprising secrets. Captain Daewon Park sat in the cockpit of his fighter jet, flying high above Earth's clouds. He was one of the planet's best pilots, known for his quick reflexes and creative thinking. Today, he was testing a new aircraft design for his country's Air Force. "Control, this is Park. The new engine is performing well. Speed and handling are better than expected." "Copy that, Park. How does it feel compared to the old models?" Daewon thought about the question. "Smoother, more responsive. It is like the machine and I are working together, instead of me just controlling it." He did not know that his words would become prophetic. In the years to come, the connection between human pilots and their machines would become the key to Earth's survival. Minister Tae-Jun Lee sat in a secret meeting room beneath the capital city. He was the director of advanced defense projects, responsible for keeping his nation safe from threats. Today's threat was unlike anything in Earth's history. Dr. Hana Kim stood at the front of the room, presenting her findings to a small group of military and government officials. The energy readings covered the wall on large screens. "These signals prove that we are being watched," she explained. "Whoever is out there has technology that makes our best efforts look like stone tools. We are completely defenseless." General Byung-ho Yoon raised his hand. "Dr. Kim, are you certain these signals are from artificial sources? Could they be natural phenomena we do not understand yet?" "Impossible, General. The patterns are too complex and organized. They show clear signs of intelligent design." And Hana paused, knowing her next words would change everything. "They are getting stronger, more frequent. I believe they are preparing for something." Minister Lee stood up. "What do you recommend, Doctor?" "We need to start preparing immediately. Study these signals, learn what we can about their technology, and pray that we can develop some kind of defense before they decide we are worth their attention." The meeting lasted for hours. By the end, Earth's leaders had made a decision that would remain secret from the world's population. The Phoenix Project was born that night, hidden in the depths of the ocean and the mountains, preparing for a threat that most humans could not imagine. Admiral Kyung-ho filed his final report about Earth 3 days later. The planet was officially classified as monitor every 50 years, low priority. The file was stored in the Imperial database alongside thousands of other unimportant worlds. But Hana Kim's instruments continued to detect strange signals from space. The energy readings were getting stronger. Something was coming back to Earth. And this time, it would not be just a peaceful survey mission. Dr. Kim worked through another sleepless night, trying to understand the alien technology hidden in those signals. She did not know that her efforts would soon lead to humanity's greatest achievement and its most dangerous challenge. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the species you dismiss as primitive can surprise you in ways that shatter everything. You thought you knew about power and technology. Earth's time of hiding was almost over. 3 years had passed since Dr. Hana Kim first detected the alien signals. In that time, the world had changed in ways that most people could not see. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a massive construction project was taking shape. The Phoenix Project facility stretched for kilometers under the ocean floor. Thousands of workers from dozens of countries labored in secret, building humanity's first line of defense against an alien threat. They called it the most important project in human history. Engineer Woo Jin Choi stood on a platform overlooking the main construction bay. Below him, the prototype ship, Taeguk, was taking shape. It looked unlike any spacecraft ever built on Earth. The hull seemed to shimmer and bend light in strange ways. "The metamaterial plating is responding well to the quantum field tests," he reported to Dr. Kim. "But I still do not understand how it works." Hana smiled tiredly. She had been living at the facility for 2 years, working every day to decode the alien technology hidden in those space signals. "Neither do I, completely. But we are learning." The Taeguk was humanity's desperate attempt to build a ship that could fight against superior alien technology. Traditional weapons and armor would be useless against enemies who could travel between stars. Earth needed something revolutionary. Captain Daewon Park walked through the corridors of the facility, heading to his daily training session. He had been recruited for the Phoenix Project a year ago, after demonstrating unusual skill with experimental aircraft. Now he was learning to pilot something that barely belonged in normal reality. "Good morning, Captain," said Commander Soo Young. Hannes Park entered the training room. She was the military strategist in charge of Earth's defense planning. "Ready for another attempt at the neural interface?" Park nodded and sat in the pilot's chair. The neural interface looked like a helmet covered in thin wires and glowing sensors. When activated, it would connect his mind directly to the Taeguk's control systems. "Remember," Commander Han said, "do not fight the connection. Let your thoughts flow naturally. The ship's computer will learn from your mind and adapt to your way of thinking." Park put on the helmet and closed his eyes. Immediately, he felt a strange sensation. as if his consciousness was expanding beyond his body. He could sense the ship around him, feel its systems, like extensions of his own nervous system. For a few moments, he was not just a pilot in a cockpit. He was the ship itself, flying through space with thoughts instead of controls. Then the connection broke, leaving him gasping in the chair. "Better," Commander Han noted, checking her instruments. The compatibility rating increased by 12%. "A few more sessions and you should be ready for the first test flight." Dr. Young-Sik Nam worked in a different part of the facility, studying intercepted alien communications. The Phoenix Project had learned to detect and record the signals that the mysterious Watchers used to communicate with each other. Most of the messages were impossible to understand. The alien language used concepts that had no equivalent in human thinking. But some things were becoming clear through careful analysis and computer translation. "They call our solar system Sector 7 Alpha," he explained to the other scientists at their daily briefing. "And they have classified Earth as Resource Zone 12. That does not sound like they plan to leave us alone. The translations revealed that Earth's location was considered strategically valuable. The aliens wanted to build a military outpost in this part of space. Humanity was in the way of their expansion plans." "How long do we have?" asked Dr. Kim. "The messages suggest they will return within 2 years, maybe less. And this time, they will bring enough ships to take control of our planet by force." The Phoenix Project had to succeed. There was no other option. Engineer Choi returned to his work on the Taeguk's most important system, the quantum phase drive. This was the technology that would allow Earth's ships to compete with alien vessels that could cross interstellar distances. The drive did not work like any engine humans had ever built. Instead of pushing the ship forward through normal space, it shifted the vessel partially into another dimension where the laws of physics worked differently. "Think of it like this," Choi explained to a group of technicians. "Normal space has 3 dimensions, but our universe actually has many more dimensions that we cannot usually see or enter. The quantum phase drive lets us step sideways into these hidden dimensions. In the phase dimension, a ship could move faster than light and ignore most weapons. It could appear and disappear like a ghost, but the technology was incredibly dangerous. One mistake could trap a ship forever in the space between realities." Minister Tae-Jun Lee visited the facility regularly to check on progress. The world's governments were spending more money on the Phoenix Project than had ever been spent on any single program in human history. Every major nation on Earth was contributing resources and expertise. "The alien scouts have returned," he informed the project leaders during one visit. "Our satellites detected them establishing monitoring posts on the outer planets. They think we cannot see them." This was both good news and bad news. The aliens were back, which meant Earth was running out of time, but they were being careless, which gave humanity a chance to study their technology up close. "We have modified our space telescopes to track their movements," Dr. Kim reported, "and we are learning from their ship designs. Some of their technology is similar to what we have developed here." The Taeguk's first test flight was scheduled for the following month. Captain Park had finally achieved stable neural interface connection with the ship's systems. The quantum phase drive was ready for limited testing, but the test would have to be conducted carefully. If the aliens detected unusual energy readings from Earth, they might investigate sooner than planned. Humanity needed more time to prepare. Commander Han spread out star charts in the strategy room. Red markers showed the positions of alien monitoring posts. Blue markers indicated Earth's hidden defensive installations. "We have built railgun batteries on the moon," she explained to the assembled military officers. "Particle beam weapons in orbit around Earth. Missile platforms hidden in the asteroid belt. But all of this is still primitive compared to their technology." "What about the Taeguk?" asked General Yoon. "Our only real hope. If the quantum phase drive works as designed, we might be able to even the odds. One ship that can appear anywhere, instantly and strike without warning could do serious damage to their fleet." The Phoenix Project had become humanity's greatest achievement and its most desperate gamble. Thousands of people worked around the clock to build weapons and ships that used physics barely understood by Earth's greatest scientists. Dr. Kim often stood on the observation deck, looking out through the transparent aluminum windows at the Taeguk in its construction bay. The ship was beautiful in an alien way, its metamaterial hull rippling with colors that human eyes had never seen before. "Will it be enough?" she wondered aloud. Engineer Choi joined her at the window. It has to be. We have put everything we have into this project. All of humanity's knowledge and resources focused on a single goal. And if we fail, then we will have failed trying something impossible instead of doing nothing at all. That is what makes us human. The alien monitoring posts continued their surveillance, unaware that the primitive planet they were watching had spent 3 years preparing for war. Earth's surface looked peaceful and unchanged. The cities functioned normally. People went about their daily lives without knowing that their planet's independence hung in the balance. But deep beneath the ocean and hidden throughout the solar system, humanity was getting ready to fight for its freedom against an enemy that commanded the power of stars. The Taeguk would fly soon, and when it did, the galaxy would learn that Earth was no longer the helpless world it appeared to be. Captain Mi-Young-shin stood on the bridge of her Imperial scout ship, watching the primitive planet through her instruments. Earth looked exactly as it had during the last survey 3 years ago. The beings down there continued their simple lives, unaware that they were being observed by a superior civilization. "Establish monitoring station Gamma-7 on the 4th planet," she ordered her crew, "and place sensor arrays throughout the asteroid belt. I want complete coverage of this system." Her mission was routine but important. The Empire had decided that this solar system would become a military outpost. Her job was to monitor the primitive inhabitants and make sure they posed no threat to Imperial operations. The creatures on Earth were called humans. They had spread across their planet in great numbers and built impressive cities for such a backward species. But they still fought each other with chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Their most advanced spacecraft could barely reach their own moon. "Captain," reported her sensor operator, "I am detecting some unusual energy readings from the 3rd planet." Shin frowned. "What kind of readings?" "Very faint. They appear to be coming from beneath the ocean. Could be geothermal activity or perhaps some kind of industrial process. Monitor it closely. Report any changes immediately." What Captain Shin did not know was that every move her fleet made was being tracked by Earth's hidden surveillance network. The Phoenix Project had modified dozens of satellites with alien-derived technology, making them invisible to Imperial sensors while giving them the ability to spy on the Watchers. Dr. Hana Kim sat in the underground command center, studying the real-time data from their orbital surveillance system. The alien ships moved with casual confidence, never suspecting that the primitive planet they were monitoring had been watching them for years. 12 scout ships, she reported to the assembled military commanders. They are setting up a complete surveillance network, but they are following predictable Imperial protocols. Minister Tae-Jun Lee nodded grimly. "How long before the main fleet arrives?" "Based on the intercepted communications, 6 months at most. They are preparing this system for occupation." Captain Daewon Park was making final preparations for the Taeguk's first operational test flight. The ship sat in its hidden launch bay beneath the Pacific Ocean, its metamaterial hull shimmering with stored quantum energy. "All systems show green," reported engineer Woo Jin Choi from the control room. "The quantum phase drive is stable and ready for activation." Park settled into the pilot's seat and activated the neural interface. The familiar sensation of expanded consciousness flowed through his mind as he connected with the ship's systems. But this time felt different. The connection was deeper, more complete. "I can feel everything," he whispered into his communication headset. "The ship's structure, its energy flows, even the space around us. It is like the Taeguk is part of my body." "That is the neural interface working properly," replied Dr. Kim from the command center. "You and the ship are becoming a single entity. Use that connection to guide the quantum phase transition." Park closed his eyes and reached out with his enhanced senses. He could feel the barriers between dimensions, the thin walls that separated, normal space from the phase realm. With a thought, he began to push the Taeguk sideways into that hidden dimension. The ship flickered and became translucent. On the sensor screens, it appeared to fade in and out of existence. Then suddenly, it vanished completely. "Phase transition successful," announced Choi. "The Taeguk has entered the quantum dimension." For Park, the experience was incredible. The ship existed in a realm where thoughts became reality, and distance was measured in intentions rather than kilometers. He could sense Earth below him, the alien ships around the solar system, even the vast empire stretching across the galaxy. "Returning to normal space," he reported, and brought the Teguk back into the physical universe. The ship materialized, near Earth's moon, hundreds of thousands of kilometers from where it had started. "Perfect," Dr. Kim said with satisfaction. "The quantum phase drive works exactly as designed. We can move anywhere in the solar system instantly," but their celebration was interrupted by an urgent alert from the surveillance team. "Imperial Patrol. Ship is changing course," reported Dr. Hyun-Soo Kang, the scientist monitoring alien movements. "It is heading toward the moon. They might have detected something." Captain Shin studied her sensor readings with growing concern. For just a moment, her instruments had registered an impossible energy signature near the planet's satellite. The reading had lasted less than a second before vanishing completely. "Run a full diagnostic on the sensor array," she ordered. "Check for equipment malfunctions." "All systems functioning normally, Captain. But the energy signature was unlike anything in our database. The power levels were enormous, but the pattern was completely unknown." Shin considered her options. Imperial regulations required her to investigate any unusual phenomena in assigned sectors. But the energy reading had been so brief that it might have been a sensor ghost or cosmic radiation. Noted in the log as a possible equipment anomaly, she decided. Continue standard surveillance operations. Her decision to dismiss the reading was exactly what Earth's planners had hoped for. The Teguk's phase transition had been detected, but only barely. The Imperial scouts were not expecting any advanced technology from a primitive planet, so they explained away what they could not understand. Sergeant Jae Hyuk Im led a team of Special Forces operators on a dangerous mission to one of the alien monitoring stations. Using small spacecraft hidden inside modified asteroids, they approached the Imperial outpost on the fourth planet. "Remember," he whispered to his team as they prepared to board the alien facility. "We are not here to fight. We need intelligence about their technology and communication systems." The boarding operation went perfectly. The Imperial crew never suspected that primitive humans could reach their hidden base. Im's team planted listening devices throughout the station and copied data from the alien computers. "Their security is terrible," Im reported when his team returned safely to Earth. "They are so confident in their superiority that they barely guard against infiltration." The stolen data revealed crucial information about Imperial military procedures and technology. Earth's scientists learned how Imperial shields worked, how their weapons functioned, and, most importantly, how their command structure operated. Commander Su Young-han used this intelligence to refine Earth's defense strategy. "They fight like a traditional military force," she explained to the Phoenix Project leadership. "Organized formations, predictable tactics, heavy reliance on superior firepower, but they have never faced an enemy that could phase in and out of normal space." The months passed quickly as Earth continued its secret preparations. More Teguk-class ships were under construction in hidden facilities around the world. Defensive installations grew stronger. Earth's people remained unaware of the approaching threat, living their normal lives while their leaders prepared for war. Dr. Kim often wondered if they were making the right choice by keeping the alien threat secret. But panic would not help humanity survive. Better to let people live in peace for as long as possible while the experts worked to protect them. Captain Park completed dozens of test flights with the Teguk, each one revealing new capabilities of the quantum phase drive. He learned to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, to move through space by thinking instead of flying, to see enemies before they could see him. "The ship is teaching me," he reported after one particularly successful mission. "The neural interface is not just connecting me to the Teguk's systems. It is showing me how to think in ways that humans were never meant to think." The Imperial scouts continued their surveillance, never realizing that the planet they were watching had spent months studying them in return. Earth knew the location of every Imperial ship, the schedule of every patrol, the weakness of every defensive system. When the main Imperial fleet finally arrived to claim Earth as a military outpost, they would expect to find a helpless world, populated by primitive beings who could not even imagine resisting galactic conquest. Instead, they would discover that sometimes the hunted can become the hunter, and that underestimating humanity was the most dangerous mistake the Empire had ever made. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. Earth was ready to show the universe that freedom was worth fighting for, no matter how impossible the odds might seem. Admiral Kyung-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Imperial Dreadnought, Eternal Victory, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. 200 Imperial warships moved in perfect formation behind him, ready to claim this primitive planet for the Empire. "Open a communication channel to the planet's surface," he ordered. "Let us get this over with quickly." The standard Imperial annexation procedure was simple and effective. Demonstrate overwhelming force, demand immediate surrender, then establish military control. Most primitive civilizations submitted without resistance when they saw the size of an Imperial fleet. His communication officer activated the broadcast system. "Channel open, Admiral." Kyung-ho straightened his uniform and faced the camera. His message would be transmitted to every radio and television receiver on the planet below. "People of Earth," he began in the formal tone required by Imperial protocol, "I am Admiral Kyung-ho of the Galactic Empire. Your planet has been selected to serve as a military outpost for Imperial forces. You will surrender immediately and prepare to receive our occupation troops. Resistance is futile and will result in the destruction of your cities." He gestured to his weapons officer to prepare a demonstration. Imperial doctrine called for destroying one empty area to show the aliens what would happen if they refused to cooperate. "Target the large island in the Northern Ocean," he commanded. "Minimal power setting. We want to make a point, not sterilize the planet." But before the weapons could fire, something impossible happened. A response came from Earth. "Imperial fleet. This is Earth Command," a calm female voice said in perfect Imperial language. "We have received your surrender demand. Our response is as follows. Request denied. Please leave our system immediately." Admiral Kyung-ho stared at the communication console in shock. The primitive beings had answered in Imperial standard language. They had refused his demand, and they had done so with a tone that suggested confidence rather than fear. "Sir," his sensor operator called out urgently, "I am detecting massive energy readings from multiple locations on the planet. Power levels are—" "Admiral, these readings are impossible for a pre-FTL civilization." "Show me," Kyung-ho snapped. The main screen switched to a tactical display of Earth and the surrounding space. Red warning symbols appeared at dozens of locations, hidden installations that were suddenly revealing themselves. "Weapons platforms on the planet's satellite," the sensor operator reported. "Defensive arrays in orbit around the planet. Battle stations throughout the asteroid belt. Sir, they have been preparing for this." Before the Admiral could respond, space itself seemed to twist near Earth's moon. Reality rippled like water, and something emerged that made his experienced crew gasp in amazement. The Teguk materialized from the quantum phase dimension, its metamaterial hull creating visual distortions that confused Imperial targeting systems. The ship looked like it was made of liquid light and solid shadows, constantly shifting between states of matter. Captain Daewon Park sat in the Teguk's pilot's seat. His consciousness expanded through the neural interface to encompass the entire battlefield. He could sense the Imperial fleet's formation, their weapon signatures, even the emotional state of their crews. "This is Captain Park of the Earth Defense Force," he transmitted to the Imperial fleet. "You have one chance to withdraw peacefully. Leave our system now, or we will defend ourselves." Admiral Kyung-ho had commanded fleets for 30 years. He had conquered dozens of star systems for the Empire. Never had he been threatened by a single ship from a primitive world. "All vessels, open fire," he ordered. "Destroy that impossible craft." The Imperial fleet unleashed a devastating barrage of plasma cannons and gravity bombs, enough firepower to shatter a moon converged on the Teguk's position, but the ship was no longer there. Park had phased the Teguk partially out of normal space the moment the Imperial weapons fired. The energy beams passed harmlessly through empty vacuum while the ship existed in the quantum dimension. Behind them, Dr. Hana Kim's voice came through the communication link from Earth's command center. "Strike pattern Alpha 7. Park brought the Teguk back into normal space directly behind the Imperial formation. His neural interface allowed him to target multiple ships simultaneously, while the quantum phase drive made impossible maneuvers seem natural. The Teguk's weapons were based on the same metamaterial technology as its hull. Instead of simple, Energy beams. They fired concentrated quantum distortions that could tear holes in space itself. 3 Imperial destroyers simply ceased to exist as the quantum weapons struck their hulls. Not destroyed or damaged, erased from reality as if they had never been built. Impossible, Admiral Kyung-ho whispered. How can a single ship do this? His question was answered when Earth's hidden defensive installations opened fire. Railguns on the moon launched projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Orbital battle stations fired particle beams that could penetrate Imperial shields. Asteroid-based missile platforms released swarms of intelligent warheads. The Imperial fleet found itself surrounded by enemies that should not exist. Earth's defenders used tactics and technology that violated everything the Empire knew about primitive civilizations. Captain Mi-Young-shin watched the battle from her scout ship at the edge of the solar system. Her earlier reports about unusual energy readings suddenly made terrible sense. Earth had been preparing for this confrontation for years. Captain, her communication officer reported, I am receiving a transmission from Earth. They are offering us sanctuary if we surrender. Shin looked at the tactical display showing Imperial ships being destroyed by impossible human weapons. Her loyalty to the Empire warred with her growing respect for these unexpected enemies. Earth Command, this is Captain Shin, she transmitted. I am prepared to discuss terms. The battle continued for hours as Admiral Kyung-ho's fleet struggled to adapt to human tactics. Every time the Imperial ships formed defensive positions, the Taeguk would phase through their shields and attack from within their formation. Commander Su Young-han coordinated Earth's defense from the underground command center. She had studied Imperial military doctrine for years, learning their strengths and weaknesses from intercepted communications. Pattern Gamma 12, she ordered the Taeguk. Force them into the Luna gravity well. Park executed the maneuver perfectly, using the quantum phase drive to appear at multiple locations simultaneously. The confused Imperial fleet tried to pursue what appeared to be several ships, spreading their formation thin. Earth's lunar railguns took advantage of the dispersed enemy formation to concentrate fire on isolated targets. More Imperial ships fell to weapons that used advanced human engineering combined with alien physics. Engineer Woo Jin Choi monitored the Taeguk's performance from his engineering station. The quantum phase drive was operating beyond design parameters, pushed to its limits by Park's neural interface connection. The ship is evolving, he reported to Dr. Kim. The neural interface is teaching the Taeguk new capabilities in real time. It is learning from Captain Park's tactical thinking. As if to prove his point, the Taeguk suddenly split into multiple quantum echoes, each one solid enough to fire weapons, but translucent enough to avoid enemy fire. The ship was discovering abilities that its designers had never imagined. Admiral Kyung-ho realized that his fleet was losing the battle against a single planet. Half his ships were destroyed or disabled. The primitive humans were fighting with technology that rivaled the Empire's most advanced systems. All vessels retreat to minimum safe distance, he ordered. Prepare to bombardment pattern Delta. If we cannot occupy this planet, we will sterilize it. But before the Imperial fleet could implement their desperate strategy, space itself seemed to tear open near their position. The Taeguk emerged from a dimension that existed beyond normal physics, bringing with it energies that made reality ripple like water. Captain Park's consciousness had expanded beyond human limitations through his connection with the ship. He could see the quantum structures that held space and time together. With a thought, he reached out and twisted them. A massive gravitational anomaly appeared in the center of the Imperial formation. 20 Imperial warships were pulled into a localized black hole that existed for exactly 7 seconds before Park allowed it to collapse. When normal space returned, a quarter of the Imperial fleet had simply vanished. "Retreat!" Admiral Kyung-ho screamed. "All ships, emergency jump to hyperspace!" The surviving Imperial vessels fled the solar system, leaving behind the wreckage of their confidence in galactic superiority. Earth had demonstrated that primitive civilizations could possess weapons and abilities that challenged the established order of the universe. Dr. Kim watched the enemy fleet disappear into hyperspace, knowing that Earth's victory was only temporary. The Empire would return with more ships and better preparation. "How long do we have?" she asked Minister Tae-Jun Lee. According to Captain Shin's intelligence data, the Empire will send a retaliatory fleet within 72 hours. This time, they will bring planet-killer weapons and reality-warping dreadnoughts. Park brought the Taguk back to Earth's moon, exhausted from his connection with technologies that pushed the boundaries of human consciousness. The ship had revealed capabilities that its designers never suspected, but the Empire's response was swift and overwhelming. Less than 60 hours after Admiral Kyung-ho's humiliating defeat, long-range sensors detected a massive fleet entering Earth's solar system. This time, the Empire had sent 1,500 warships. Led by their most experienced battle commander, Admiral Won-seok-ryu stood on the bridge of his command dreadnought, studying the tactical reports from the previous battle. The primitive planet had somehow developed weapons that could challenge Imperial technology. This was unprecedented in the Empire's long history of expansion. "Deploy the reality anchors," he ordered his fleet commanders. "Whatever technology these humans are using, we will neutralize it with our most advanced countermeasures." The Imperial fleet moved into attack formation with practiced precision. Planet-killer weapons charged their main batteries. Reality-warping dreadnoughts prepared to tear holes in space itself. The Empire had brought enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. But Earth was no longer the same planet that had surprised Admiral Kyung-ho's fleet. The Phoenix Project had used every hour of their brief respite to expand their capabilities in ways that defied conventional military thinking. Captain Daewon Park sat in the Taguk's pilot seat, feeling the ship's consciousness merge with his own. The neural interface had evolved beyond its original design, creating a symbiotic relationship between human creativity and quantum technology. "I can see them," he reported to Earth Command. 1,500 ships, but they are thinking like a traditional military force. Formation attacks, concentrated firepower, overwhelming numbers. They have not learned from their last defeat. Dr. Hana Kim monitored the Taguk systems from the underground command center. The quantum phase drive was showing readings that exceeded all theoretical limits. The ship was rewriting the laws of physics through the connection with Park's expanding consciousness. "Captain, we are detecting massive energy buildups throughout the Imperial fleet," she warned. "They are preparing something much more powerful than conventional weapons." Park nodded, his awareness extending far beyond normal human senses. Through the neural interface, he could perceive the quantum structures that held reality together. The Imperial reality anchors were trying to lock space-time into a rigid pattern that would prevent phase transitions. "They want to trap us in normal space," he realized. "Force us to fight according to their rules." Engineer Woo Jin Choi worked frantically in the Taguk's engineering section, making real-time modifications to the quantum phase drive. The ship's systems were evolving, faster than any human technology had ever developed, learning from each battle and adapting to new challenges. "The phase drive is resonating with the captain's neural patterns," he reported. "It is becoming something more than a machine. The boundary between pilot and ship is disappearing." As the Imperial fleet approached Earth's orbital defenses, the reality anchors activated. Massive gravitational fields locked the local region of space into a rigid pattern that should have prevented any quantum phase transitions. But the Taguk had evolved beyond the technology that the Empire understood. Park reached out with his expanded consciousness and touched the quantum foam that existed beneath observable reality. In that realm of pure possibility, the Imperial reality anchors were just another pattern to be rewritten. Phase transition. "Now," he whispered, and the Taguk stepped sideways into a dimension that existed beyond the Empire's ability to control. "Admiral," Ryu watched in disbelief as the impossible human ship simply vanished from his sensors despite the reality anchors. "How are they doing this? Our countermeasures should make phase transitions impossible." His science officer studied the readings with growing confusion. "Sir, they are not using conventional phase technology. The energy patterns suggest they are accessing dimensions that our equipment cannot even detect." The Taguk materialized inside the Imperial formation, moving through space that existed between the spaces that normal physics recognized. Park's consciousness had learned to navigate realms where thought became reality and intention shaped the laws of nature. The ship's weapons had evolved as well. Instead of firing quantum distortions, the Taguk now projected localized reality storms that transformed the fundamental constants of physics in small regions of space. 3 Imperial dreadnoughts found themselves in zones where the strong nuclear force suddenly became repulsive instead of attractive. Their hulls simply came apart as the atoms lost the ability to hold together. Impossible, Admiral Ryu breathed. They are rewriting physical laws. How can a primitive species have such power? Commander Su-Young Han coordinated Earth's expanded defense network from the underground command center. The months since the first Imperial attack had been used to build dozens of new defensive installations using quantum technology. Lunar stations, fire pattern Delta 9, she ordered. Asteroid platforms implement swarm protocol Gamma. Earth's defenses had learned from the Taeguk's innovations. Railguns fired projectiles that existed partially in the quantum dimension, making them impossible to intercept with conventional shields. Missile swarms phased in and out of normal space, striking Imperial ships from directions that should not exist. Captain Mi-young Shin, now serving as an advisor to Earth's military, provided crucial intelligence about Imperial tactics and weak points. Her defection had given humanity insights into enemy psychology that proved as valuable as any weapon. The Admiral will try to use Formation Theta 7 next, she predicted, watching the Imperial fleet's movements on the tactical display. It concentrates firepower while maintaining defensive coverage. But there is a weakness in the rear quadrant that the Taeguk can exploit. Park received the tactical data through his neural link to Earth Command, but his enhanced consciousness saw opportunities that no conventional military analysis could recognize. The Imperial fleet was thinking in 3 dimensions while he could perceive and move through 7. Engaging multiple probability streams, he reported, and the Taeguk began to exist in several potential realities simultaneously. To the Imperial sensors, it appeared that dozens of enemy ships had suddenly appeared from nowhere. Each quantum echo was solid enough to fire weapons, but ethereal enough to avoid return fire. The Imperial fleet found itself under attack from enemies that existed in parallel versions of reality. Their weapons passed harmlessly through targets that were real but not quite present in the same dimensional space. Engineer Choi monitored the cascade of system upgrades as the Taeguk's technology evolved in real time. The ship is teaching itself new capabilities faster than I can record them, he reported. The neural interface is creating feedback loops that accelerate technological development beyond anything we thought possible. Dr. Yoon-ji Song worked in Earth's hidden manufacturing facilities, overseeing the rapid production of new quantum phase ships. The plans changed daily as engineers incorporated lessons learned from the Taeguk's battlefield innovations. 12 new ships are ready for launch, she reported to the Phoenix Project leadership. Each one incorporates improvements that we learned from Captain Park's experiences. Admiral Ryu realized that his massive fleet was losing the battle against a single planet. The humans were fighting with technologies that transcended the Empire's understanding of warfare. Every tactical, manual, and strategic doctrine had become useless against enemies who could rewrite reality itself. Deploy the dimensional disruptors, he ordered desperately. If we cannot fight them in normal space, we will collapse the quantum dimensions they are using. The Imperial dreadnoughts activated weapons designed to tear holes in the fabric of space-time itself. Massive energy beams lanced out toward Earth, carrying enough power to destabilize entire regions of dimensional space. But Park's consciousness had expanded to perceive the attack before it was launched. Through the neural interface, he could see the intentions of enemy commanders as clearly as their ship movements. Quantum storm, pattern Alpha Prime, he announced, and the Taeguk gathered energy from 7 different dimensions simultaneously. Space, around Earth, twisted into a spiral of impossible colors as competing forces of dimensional disruption and quantum manipulation collided. Reality flickered between different sets of physical laws as the 2 technologies fought for control of local space-time. When the chaos finally settled, half the Imperial fleet had been caught in regions where the laws of physics had become temporarily unstable. Some ships aged 1,000,000 years in seconds. Others found themselves existing backward through time. A few simply translated into pure energy and dissipated into the quantum foam. Admiral Ryu stared at the tactical display showing the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. In less than 6 hours, a primitive planet had destroyed over 700. Imperial warships using weapons that should not exist. All ships emergency retreat, he ordered. Maximum hyperspace velocity. We must reach Imperial space and warn the High Command. As the surviving Imperial vessels fled the solar system, Park brought the Taguk back to Earth orbit. The neural interface had changed him profoundly during the battle. His consciousness now existed partially in the quantum dimension, giving him perceptions that were no longer quite human. "The Empire will return," he told the assembled leaders of the Phoenix Project. "Next time, they will bring their most aid." The Imperial High Command had never faced a crisis like this. 2 massive fleets had been destroyed by a single primitive planet. The Empire's reputation for invincibility was crumbling as news of Earth's impossible victories spread throughout the galaxy. Grand Admiral Wonseok Ryu stood before the Council of High Lords in the Empire's capital city. His uniform bore the scars of his recent defeat, and his eyes held the haunted look of a commander who had witnessed the impossible. "They are not using any technology in our databases," he reported to the assembled leaders. "Their ships exist, in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Their weapons rewrite the laws of physics. Their pilots seem to transcend the normal limitations of biological consciousness." High Lord Sang-wook Kim, the Empire's supreme military commander, studied the battle recordings with growing disbelief. "You are telling us that a pre-FTL civilization has developed weapons that surpass our most advanced technology?" "They have done more than that," Ryu replied grimly. "They have learned to fight in ways that make our entire military doctrine obsolete. Traditional tactics, conventional weapons, even reality-warping technology. None of it works against them." The Council deliberated for hours before reaching their decision. The Earth problem had to be solved permanently, using the Empire's most devastating weapons and their most experienced commanders. "Prepare Operation Final Solution," High Lord Kim ordered. "Deploy every available ship in the sector. Bring the planet killers, the reality bombs, the dimensional collapse devices. We will erase this threat from existence." 2,000 Imperial warships gathered at the edge of Earth's solar system. The largest military force ever assembled by the Empire, prepared for what they believed would be their final confrontation with the upstart human species. But Earth had not been idle during the weeks since the last Imperial attack. Dr. Yoon-ji Song stood in the massive underground shipyard beneath the Pacific Ocean, watching the final preparations on 50 new Taguk-class vessels. Each ship incorporated quantum phase technology that had evolved far beyond the original prototype. "The neural interface systems are ready," she reported to the Phoenix Project leadership. "We have trained 50 pilots to interface with the quantum dimensions, though none of them have achieved Captain Park's level of consciousness expansion. Captain Daewon Park himself had become something that defied easy categorization. His consciousness existed simultaneously in normal space and the quantum dimension, giving him perceptions that transcended human limitations. "I can sense them gathering at the system's edge," he told the assembled military commanders. 2,000 ships, planet-killer weapons, reality manipulation devices. They intend to destroy Earth completely, rather than risk another defeat." Hana Kim studied the readings from Park's neural interface with growing concern. His brain patterns had evolved beyond anything recognizable as human. The quantum dimension was changing him in ways that they could not predict or control. "Captain, are you still you?" she asked carefully. Park turned to her with eyes that seemed to hold the depth of space itself. "I am still Daewon Park, but I am also something more. The neural interface has shown me that consciousness is not limited to biological structures. Thought can exist as patterns in the quantum foam itself. Engineer Woo Jin Choi made final adjustments to the Taguk's quantum phase drive. The ship had evolved far beyond its original design, incorporating technologies that existed at the intersection of physics and consciousness. The drive is resonating with quantum patterns throughout the solar system," he reported. "It is not just a ship anymore. It has become a focal point for reality manipulation on a massive scale." Grand Admiral Ryu led the Imperial fleet into Earth's solar system with overwhelming confidence. This time, the Empire had brought enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. The primitive humans could not possibly have prepared for an assault of this magnitude. "Deploy Planet Killer Array Alpha," he ordered. "Target the 3rd planet. Maximum destructive yield. 12 massive dreadnoughts activated weapons designed to crack planets like eggs. Energy beams that could punch through continental crust lanced toward Earth through the vacuum of space. But the beams never reached their target. 50 Tuguk-class ships materialized from the quantum dimension, their pilots connected through a shared neural network that spanned multiple realities. They moved as a single entity, their consciousness unified through quantum entanglement. The planet-killer beams struck a barrier of twisted space-time that the Earth ships had created by manipulating the fundamental structure of reality. The energy was absorbed, redirected, and transformed into raw quantum potential. "Impossible," Grand Admiral Ryu whispered. "How many ships do they have?" His question was answered when the space around Earth began to ripple with dimensional distortions. The Tuguk fleet was creating localized reality storms that made normal physics irrelevant. Captain Park's consciousness had expanded to encompass the entire battlefield. Through the neural network connecting all Earth ships, he could perceive and control quantum events across vast distances. "Pattern Omega Prime," he transmitted to the fleet. "Show them what human ingenuity can accomplish when pushed beyond all limits." The 50 Earth ships began to move in ways that violated every law of physics that the Empire understood. They existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, attacked from directions that had no meaning in normal space, and wielded weapons that transformed the basic constants of reality. Imperial ships found themselves aging rapidly as time acceleration fields passed over them. Others discovered that gravity had suddenly become repulsive, tearing their hulls apart. Some simply ceased to exist as the quantum foundation of their matter was rewritten. "All ships, emergency retreat," Grand Admiral Ryu ordered. "We cannot fight enemies who can rewrite reality itself." But the Earth fleet had learned to manipulate space-time on a massive scale. The Imperial ships found that hyperspace itself had been altered in the local region. They were trapped in a pocket of normal space, where the Earth defenders controlled the fundamental laws of physics. Commander Su Young-han coordinated the battle from Earth's command center, but she was no longer giving orders to individual ships. The neural network had created a collective consciousness that fought as a single entity with 50 bodies. "The Imperial fleet is completely surrounded," she reported. "They have no escape routes and no weapons that can penetrate our quantum barriers." Dr. Young-sik Nam monitored the battle's effects on local space-time. "The reality manipulations are creating permanent changes to this region of space. We are literally rewriting the laws of physics in our solar system." Admiral Kyung-ho, who had commanded the first Imperial fleet to attack Earth, watched in horror as his civilization's greatest military force was systematically destroyed by technologies that should not exist. "How did we miss this?" he asked Captain Mi-young-shin, who had defected to Earth's side. "How could a primitive species develop such power?" "Because we never understood what makes humans dangerous," Shin replied. "They do not accept limitations that others consider absolute. When faced with impossible challenges, they transcend their own nature." The battle ended when Captain Park's expanded consciousness reached out and touched the quantum structure of Grand Admiral Ryu's flagship. Instead of destroying the ship, he trapped it in a localized space-time bubble where it existed but could not move or fight. "Grand Admiral," Park's voice came through the Imperial communication system, "your empire has learned an important lesson. Today, technological superiority means nothing when facing opponents who can evolve beyond the limitations of their original nature." The surviving Imperial ships were allowed to leave the solar system, but only after their weapons were disabled and their navigation systems were programmed with a message for the Empire's leadership. Earth's broadcast reached every Imperial world, simultaneously transmitted through quantum-entangled particles that existed in multiple dimensions. The message was simple but profound. We are humanity. We were ignored, dismissed, and attacked. But we survived and evolved beyond your ability to comprehend. The galaxy now has a choice. Learn to coexist with species that refuse to accept limitations, or continue to face the consequences of underestimating the power of freedom. Dr. Kim stood on the observation deck of the Phoenix Project facility, watching the Tuguk fleet return to Earth orbit. The ships moved like living things, their quantum phase. Drives creating aurora patterns in space itself. "What have we become?" she wondered aloud. Captain Park materialized beside her, his consciousness able to exist in multiple locations simultaneously through quantum entanglement. "We have become what we needed to become to survive," he replied. "Humanity has always been defined by our refusal to accept that anything is impossible. The Galactic Empire never attempted another attack on Earth. News of humanity's victories spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring other oppressed species to resist imperial domination. The Empire's reputation for invincibility was shattered forever. Earth became the center of a growing alliance of free worlds, united by the principle that consciousness and creativity could transcend any limitation. Human quantum phase technology was shared freely with other species, not as a weapon of conquest, but as a tool for liberation. Minister Teji,